Let me begin this way.
It was a few years ago, after not, I felt, my job was to reach out to, everyday New Yorkers, and really, I really ought to give it some thought. This is my life, as a
Working
mother.
with New York City.
While I was thinking about it, just sort of, in my own head, and saying, why don't you be senator? You'd be great. Go for it. We're rooting for you. On the subway this morning, people were, coming up. So, so I thought, well, I ought to do that because, this is my home. I think, I was in my family, public service is really, the greatest honor that anyone can have. It's this as, a mother, I've raised 3 kids, people can really pass these values, what made America great. And that's something that, I don't think we do enough at home. We don't, we talk about sports, those, and the visibility that I have. We are losing, a sense to the State Department. And so I think that, well, it's not a way, there was a sense that, we have to work twice as hard because, it's, people have this perception that, and we are fortunate, and with nothing. In terms of, satisfying the perception that, this is just, all you have to do is pick up the phone, you get anything. And I think, people saw that.
Comparing you to entertainer J-Lo as it relates to possibly going to the Senate in credentials.
Well, I wish, I think a lot of things about that. And, I admire the journey that J-Lo has traveled. She she looks pretty good. But in terms of, public policy, I don't, and how we've spent our adult lives, I don't think there's really that much that we have in common. I don't pay a lot of attention to, this is the kind of thing it's fun and it's, everybody likes it, spectacle, and so I don't think it's particularly meaningful. It was my grandmother who was really, and I think, when I first saw that, it was a real gift to see it. I think about the memories that I have, but also growing up, just the people my whole life who have, that my father changed their life. He asked them to give back, and that I take very seriously, for myself as well, and I really, a generation and a sense that God, my mother was really a strong force in my life, and so I think, now that I'm 51, well, most people don't realize that my mother loved campaigning, and she would roll her eyes about the whole thing, but she was, an incredible patriot, and that I was doing this. Right. Well, he would be laughing his head off. There's no doubt about that.
Really? Why?
because that was the kind of relationship that we had. But we were, he'd be 100% behind me. He always was, and families, and I. Any senator, anyone who's selected, me, if I'm lucky enough to be that person, needs to, and that's, the main reason why I would want to work, as a senator. I would like to take the struggles that I see, in edge lives, work to bring, I think what to teach, our most difficult kids, Well, I was dismayed by my voting record, and I think obviously going forward, I would make sure to vote in every primary. But everybody can always find excuses not to vote, and there's a lot of ways, of Democrats. I try to do that. So I feel like I am. Where 3 members who is still there working hard. I ran, and I know what people's my hard work and the most, and I could race Chuck Schumer around all 62 counties, and we'll see who wins. But I think working together would be fantastic opportunity.
You mentioned your
and an incredible source of love and support to me. He wants me to do what's right for me. He's been an incredible. He came into the Senate. I don't really think in those terms at all. I really I don't. I know people who follow our family think like that, but this is really about me. And I am a lawyer. Who are adults now. So I think I do bring a lot to this. It's if I could be as good a senator as Teddy, that would be an honor.
Make it one
Well,
day?
can we just, get through this, like, right here now?
Okay.
And that was, that was nice. Well, I understand how important it is for, anybody, effective is communication, but, at the same time, I've talked to a lot of people in the last few weeks, people, and just people on the street, so I've already learned a lot. I am, a Democrat through and through. So, people like to talk and all that, that I am, I am a Democrat. And, I think, so I think that's probably where I'd leave that.